Hello everyone, myself Ashim Das, and we are going to continue with chapter the French Revolution, the first chapter, the French Revolution of History of Class 9, and this is the 10th video of this lesson. And earlier we have already done 9 videos, and this is the 10th and the last video. And here we are going to cover the last two topics, starting with topic number 5, that is the abolition of slavery. So here we are going to understand the meaning of the phrase the abolition of slavery. Abolition means here how it was completely removed or it was completely eradicated, and slavery, the word slavery refers to the slaves. The difference between slaves and servant is that servants have the rights, but slaves are the people, those who are owned like animals by the rich people or by the other people who used to make them work in their farms and other places. And the slaves did not have any kind of rights, and they were treated like animals also. So it was a very inhuman and very bad tradition that was going on at that time. So one of the most revolutionary social reforms of the Jacobin regime was the abolition of slavery in the French colonies. So during the Jacobin regime, when Maximilien Robespierre came into power, he decided to abolish or completely remove slavery, the idea of slavery from the French colonies, the colonies that French had already been maintaining in the far off countries or islands. Like we know the colonies in the Caribbean, in the Caribbean Sea, some small islands were there where the business were going on by the French people, and the Caribbean had places like Martinique, and pronunciation is Martinique, and Guadeloupe and Saint Domingo. These three places were important suppliers of commodities such as tobacco and indigo, it's a color, and sugar, and also coffee. But the reluctance, or the Europeans had little bit hesitance, they were like hesitant to go and work in the distant and the unfamiliar lands, and that is why there was a shortage of labor on the plantation. So the reluctance of the Europeans made the traders fall into a big trouble, that they did not have any kind of workers in these plantations, and that is why they had to depend on the other people. So where would they get that people from? So this most of the Europeans were hesitant to go and work there, as the people had to work in the farms producing tobacco and indigo and sugar, etc. So this was a very big problem, as the plantations had to be maintained for business, but they did not have people to work there. This was the problem, and the solution came up in a very different way, because there was a triangular slave trade. You can see, understand the meaning of the word triangle here. There was a triangular slave trade between three continents. One is Europe, Africa, and the Americas. So here both the Americas are referred to here, the North America and South America. And the slave trade began in the 17th century. How did the slave trade, the buying and the selling of the human beings, the people for doing work, how did it begin? So let's see. The French merchants, those who belong to France, they sailed from the ports of Bordeaux. The pronunciation is Bordeaux, the spelling is Bordeaux, and Nantes, Nantes, the pronunciation is Nantes. You can check it out in the net to find the pronunciation. So in the African coast, where they had bought slaves from the local chieftains or the local leaders, and they were branded, they were put some kind of marks on their body and shackled. In shackle means put in big iron chains, and these slaves were packed tightly like animals into ships, into small containers for the 3-month long voyage. And this voyage, or this long journey by sea, was across the Atlantic Ocean to the Caribbean seas, and where the islands were there, the French colonies, and the people did the business there. And after reaching Caribbean, these slaves were sold to the plantation workers. So this was the triangular trade that was going on between Europe, Africa, and the Americas. So here we come to know the exploitation of the slave labor made it possible to meet the growing demand in the European markets for sugar and coffee and indigo. So definitely all the people, those who were working there, and they were able to produce these things on time, and these were in high demand at the time. And as a result, the people, the merchants, the French merchants living in these different colonies began to prosper and began to become rich by taking the help, or by using or exploiting these slaves. port cities like Bordeaux and Nantes owed their economic prosperity to the flourishing slave trade. So these two particular places have been mentioned, Bordeaux and Nantes. They have most of the people getting economic prosperity from the trade of slave, the buying and the selling of the people for doing business, for working in the plantations. So of course the business was going on well, but this was not a human tradition that was started, and it had to be stopped. Throughout the 18th century there was very little criticism. Nobody criticized, nobody said anything of slavery in France, and they had taken it to be granted. But when the National Assembly came, at the time they held long debates and different kinds of questions were raised about whether the rights of the man should be extended to all the French subjects, including those in colonies, or not. So as they were fighting for equality and fraternity and independence, so they said that whether the people, those who are living in the colonies, they also should get equality, and they should also be getting the rights of man as in the France they are getting. But even though it argued a lot and held different debates, but still it did not pass any kind of law, any kind of rules and regulations. Why? Because they were afraid, they were fearing opposition from the businessman whose incomes depended on the slave trade. The people of France, the government of France, got most of the money from the businessman, and these businessmen were getting money from the slave trade. So in a way it was not going to stop them. But it was finally that the convention or the meeting in which 1794, this year is very important, legislated, they made law to free all the slaves in the French overseas possessions. So they made this particular decision that all the people, those who were living in the different colonies, had to be freed. And this, however, turned out to be a very short-term measure. Why? Because almost 10 years later everything was changed, because Napoleon, who was the military leader of France at the time, reintroduced slavery, and after that everything was again back at the same way how it was earlier. Plantation owners understood their freedom, including the rights to enslave the African Negroes in pursuit of their economic interest. And finally, slavery was finally abolished in French colonies in 1848. So this was a very big struggle for the Negroes. Who were the Negroes? Negroes means a term used for the indigenous or the people, local people of Africa, that is south of the Sahara area region. It is a derogatory term. Why? Because this term is not in common use any longer. It is actually a very bad thing to use the word Negroes. We also saw a picture where the people were emancipated. Next topic is the revolution and everyday life. That is the impact of the revolution on everyday life of the French people. So some questions are raised here, like, can politics change the clothes people wear, or the language they speak, or the books they read? Yes or no? Of course, there will be a great change in the everyday life of the people when the country goes through a revolution. So we come to know the years following 1789. 1789, the beginning of the French Revolution, saw a great change in the everyday life of the people. The people spoke different language now. The books that they read had inspired them to fight against the injustice, and there was a great change in the society. The years following 1789 in France saw many such changes in the lives of the men and the women and children also. The revolutionary government took it upon themselves to pass laws that would translate the ideals of liberty and equality into everyday practice. So here we come to know year 1789 was a great revolutionary year, because the government made themselves to pass law. They made different laws that would change or translate the ideas of equality and freedom and liberty that everybody could practice in their day-to-day life. So only by using the word liberty and equality was not enough. The people also had to experience it in their everyday practice. One important law that came into effect soon after the storming of the Bastille in 1789, the summer of 1789, was the abolition of censorship. Now censorship, what is it? Censorship is that kind of what you can say restriction by the government, that anything and everything cannot be published or cannot be written, or a song cannot be sung without the permission of the government. So earlier the king did not allow anything which went against the king, and this was a thing where the news also against the king was not to be published. But after 1789, all this censorship was removed from France. And we also come to know the censorship actually was not giving them equality or freedom. So in the old regime before 1789, all the written material like books and all cultural activities, newspapers, plays, drama, theater could be published or performed only after they had been approved by the censors of the King Louis XVI, or the earlier kings who had been there. If the king or the censors did not allow it, then they were restricted from doing or publishing this kind of materials among the public. They could not make it public anymore. Now the Declaration of the Rights of Man and the Citizen, this document proclaimed freedom of speech and expression to be a natural right. They said that it is the right of the human being. Any kind of citizen will have the natural right to speak, to say anything that he or she wants. Newspapers and pamphlets and books and all these painted pictures flooded the city and the towns of France, from where they traveled rapidly even to the countryside. So this proclamation was a natural right, and very soon the things began to spread from the cities even to the countryside, that is in the villages also. And what we come to know is that the people were getting interested in the ideas of equality and fraternity and also liberty. And the people described and discussed these events and the changes taking place in France, and all the discussions were about these topics, and this created awareness among the people, not only in the cities but also in the countryside or in the village areas. We also come to know that the freedom of the press, freedom of the press here means that the press, the newspapers could publish the news that were taking place. Earlier it was not allowed. Why? Because the king did not allow them. But now the freedom of the press also meant that the opposing views of the events could be expressed. So it was not only one-sided now, but both the sides, even the opposition's views also could be published in the newspapers, and people were to judge whether it was really correct or not. Each side sought to convince the other of its position through the medium of the prints, and all the news that items were written, these all were portraying both the sides of the opposition also and the supporting side also of the government. Plays and songs and festivals, the festive processions attracted large numbers of the people all over the city, and these were also very very important in bringing the people together, and these all became a part of their everyday life. This was one way they could grasp, they could catch and identify the ideas with ideas such as liberty or justice that political philosophers wrote about at length in text which only a handful of few educated people could read. Like earlier we came to know many political philosophers were there, like Montesquieu and John Locke, etc. They wrote very big books and this long text which the common people could not understand, but only educated people could understand. But now these songs, these plays, these festival processions, the symbols, the paintings, the different kinds of news articles, everyone could understand it in a simple way, and that is why the songs and the plays most particularly became popular among the people. And even the processions were also very important. Why? Because they showed the people in mass, in great gatherings, about what was the change that was coming in the country. So we also come to know about a picture. You can see here the picture how the people were dressed at the time, and we come to know that this was another emancipation, and how the people used to understand the meaning of equality and fraternity. Last but not the least, we have the conclusion. The conclusion shows us that what happened after that. So in the year 1804, this picture that you are looking on the right side is of Napoleon Bonaparte. So Napoleon Bonaparte was a great military leader. Later on he became the commander of France, and he himself crowned himself the emperor of France in 1804. And he was a great ambitious person, so that is why he set out to conquer the neighboring European countries, dispossessing the dynasties of the kings. They said that these people were not right to rule the kingdom, and creating kingdoms where he placed the members of his own family, his different relatives, he made them the owners and the kings, and he tried to put everything under his control. Napoleon saw his role as a modernizer of Europe, so he introduced a different kind of system. Many such laws he introduced, as like the protection of the private property and the uniform system of the weights and measures that is provided by the decimal system, and these all were the symbols of modernism that were started by Napoleon Bonaparte. Initially, many people found that he was a liberator, he was a leader who wanted to liberate the people, who would bring freedom for the people. He was very popular among the people of France also, and among other countries also, the neighboring countries also. But this idea or this image of liberator soon faded away. Why? Because soon the Napoleonic armies, the people, those were the army that were working under Napoleon, came to be viewed everywhere as an invading force. So where the people welcomed them, but very soon they realized that they were also trying to rule in the same way as the earlier kings were. So he was finally fought with different neighboring countries' kings, and he was finally defeated at Waterloo in the year 1815. And this was the beginning where many of the changes came up. Many of his measures that carried the revolutionary ideas of liberty and modern laws to other parts of the Europe had an impact on the people long after Napoleon had left. So this Napoleon and his armies were defeated, and he also was wiped out completely. But however, the ideas, the different kinds of revolutionary ideas of liberty and modern laws, the system, these all stayed and had an impact on the people long after he had left. So this shows that how the idea of modern revolution came among the people. The ideas of liberty and democratic rights were the most important legacy of the French Revolution. So the ideas of liberty and democratic rights, these were very important two things, and these were the legacy. The legacy is that what we get from our forefathers, and these ideas spread from France to the rest of the Europe during the 19th century, where feudal systems were there. The people, those who had to work under the landlord or a large estate, in a large estate under a noble or a rich man. So these all ideas of liberty and democratic rights were incorporated in the minds of the different farmers, and the feudal system ideas also were highlighted during that time. But this feudal system was a great system which was taking away the rights of the people. So these were abolished, and colonized peoples, here it is called peoples. Why? Because the people of different countries were there, different places were there. They revoked the idea of freedom from the bondage, from this slavery into their movements, and they started to create a sovereign nation state for themselves. Like our India also was a country which was a colony under the British. Even we come to know about two great names like Tipu Sultan and Raja Ram Mohan Roy. These are two examples of the Indian individuals who responded to the ideas coming from revolutionary France. And these two great leaders, we come to know that they were also very much important in the shaping our India's freedom. So in these boxes and all, you will find about this Raja Ram Mohan Roy. So thank you. This was the end of the chapter. See you next time. Bye.